A warm hello to all and welcome to our presentation entitled Indigenous and Western Worldviews, Embracing Divergent Epistemologies. My name is Jane Preston. I'm from the Faculty of Education at the University of Prince Edward Island in Charlottetown, Canada. I will be presenting this PowerPoint on behalf of my colleagues Brenda Green and Rita Bouvier. This presentation is essentially about understanding worldviews. Therefore, it is only fitting to clarify our meaning of worldviews. We define a worldview as a collection of values and beliefs held by an individual or group of individuals. It's a type of epistemological lens through which you view and experience the world. A worldview is created and influenced by such things as culture, language, religion, spirituality, gender, the environment, family, and friends. Understanding multiple worldviews is important because it enables us to more successfully interact with each other. For the purpose of this presentation, we will focus on two epistemological viewpoints, the Indigenous and Western worldviews. We will explain the core values, norms, and perspectives embedded within each. Before continuing, it is important to highlight that it is not our intent to present one worldview as superior over the other. We do present the basic concepts of Indigenous and Western worldviews in a somewhat dichotomous fashion because in many ways they do differ. Let's start with the Indigenous worldview. This worldview can be summed up by saying interconnected wholeness. There are a few dominant analogies of the circle, often used by Indigenous people to explain such interrelated connectedness. There's the web of life, the sacred circle, and the medicine wheel, all of which we will talk about. Let's start with the web of life. All creation possesses one consciousness, and in this state there is no separation between nature and humans. For example, humans do not weave the web of life. Rather, they are merely a strand in the web. The earth, plants, insects, swimmers, flyers, four-legged and two-legged creatures together are alive. Whether it is a spider, a blade of grass, or a rock, we all share one central energy. Let's move on to the sacred circle. Possessing no beginning or end point, the sacred circle is a symbol of wholeness and harmony, eternity, and ultimate perfection. It represents the path of the sun, the planets, the moon, meteor belts, and all types of orbital rotations participating in a universal round dance. The sacred circle represents the infinite reoccurrences of ecological processes such as the water cycle, the carbon cycle, and the cycles of the rainforest. Time is even a circle, and it's rendered through the rising and setting of the sun, the transition of day to night, the yearly migration of birds, and the ring marks in every tree. Let's go on to the medicine wheel. Like the sacred circle, the medicine wheel represents circular features and processes found within nature, but the medicine wheel applies those meanings to life and the individual. The teachings of the medicine wheel are focused on the individual. It is important to state that just like there are many different people in the world, there are many interpretations of the medicine wheel. It's predominantly a North American symbol used by indigenous nations. However, there is diversity there too. Some indigenous groups physically illustrate the medicine wheel through unique colors, animals, and explanations. Then, the individual takes these meanings and further personalizes them. Features of the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel contains 4 equal quadrants, representing the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. The 4 directions correspond to spring, summer, autumn, and fall, which also represent the 4 stages of human life: child, youth, adult, and elder. Let's look at the child. In the east, the birth of a child is like the yellow, eastwardly rising morning sun. Children are physically dependent on their caregivers and largely focused on physical needs. From birth, children are equipped with a fervent fire, a body of optimism, and a belief in creative possibilities. In the sun, there are the concepts of development, activity, and vitality. The youth possesses an innate passion to gain experience and mental maturity. When individuals experience teenage years, they begin to exercise their mind and the intellect. The gift of the south and the noon sun empower knowledge creation, which is grounded through interaction with other humans. Continuing on in a westernly path of life, young men and women mature into adults. In an effort to understand one's own identity, adulthood is an emotional part of life, and water is a quenching element representing this maturation stage. The late afternoon sun is an emotional reflection of past experiences. In the north, the last stage of life, is where a person possesses an air of wisdom, fine judgment, and spiritual knowledge. As the sunlight departs for the night and for a long duration of the winter, elders in this final stage guide and support others who are experiencing the various stages of life. From this, let's go on to talk about the Western worldview. The Western worldview represents a time of reason. It's the merging of many historical epochs, including the age of Christianity, Renaissance, the age of Enlightenment. The Western worldview is an evolutionary array of chronological influences that have converged into a hegemonic norm permeating present-day economy-driven societies. Animate and inanimate. The Western perspective tends to categorize the world and all its matter into 2 separate entities: animate, animals, plants, and humans, and inanimate, rocks, mountains, sky, land, water, the sun, and wind. With regard to animate, there exists 2 layers, 2 descriptions of life. Humans are at the top, with all other forms, such as animals and vegetations, appearing a tier below. Examples of the inanimate side are rock, water, wind, and air, which do not contain life per se. Of all the animate and inanimate things on earth, humans are the most important. A central aspect of the Western worldview is its focus on the individual and the burgeoning potential housed in each person. Success and accomplishments are boundless because humans have the creative ability to mold the future. The intellectual brilliance of the human mind advances perpetual growth and change. Time and space limits. The Western worldview portrays time as a linear concept and space as a 3-dimensional physical entity. Years are divided into months, months are sanctioned into weeks, weeks are subdivided into days, which are further compartmentalized into hours, minutes, seconds, and even milliseconds. Physical interaction is often defined by the clock. Within human-focused environments such as schools and businesses, the cultural norm is that meetings are scheduled, objectives are created, and deadlines are important to assist in the completion of tasks. Further demarked boundaries can be seen in education. A Western worldview predominantly features education as an individualized academic process set within demarked boundaries. Education is often institutionalized in terms of management, curriculum, and the slotting of predetermined time frames. Summative test-taking measures, teacher-focused feedback, and the provision of formal grades are the predominant mechanisms employed to assist in the learning experience. With regard to business, the Western worldview tends to value competitiveness, physical possessions, and the importance of financial stability and growth. Successful organizations are those that adapt their practices, processes, strategies, and structures so that their internal, measurable capacities address the specific needs and desires of customers. With regard to science, the Western worldview has a tendency to break down natural systems or events by studying individual entities or parts. For example, from a biological perspective, the body is broken down into organs and tissue. Tissue is made from cells, which have a nucleus and cytoplasm. Within the nucleus, there are chromosomes, which in turn have genes, and so on. The Western worldview is prone to promote scientists and academics who have specialized knowledge in specific content-related topics. Due to this micro-focus on topics, events, and processes, the Western worldview has generated much knowledge pertaining to the separate parts of living systems. We have one more slide in our presentation, and this is impatience. In reviewing the Indigenous and Western worldviews, located somewhere between flexibility and structure is a symbiotic worldview of mind, body, and soul. Within a classroom environment, fostering an understanding about these worldviews is beneficial for many reasons. Teachers and students learning about symbiotic worldviews is equivalent to enabling trust, acceptance, synergy, creativity, and productivity. Extending that idea further, when members within the larger society also learn to work within a symbiotic view, healthier, safer, and more inclusive societies emerge. A warm thank you for listening. We hope we have presented some interesting ideas for you to think about. Enjoy the rest of the conference.